Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to make a video about charging in cold weather. I've put on 34,000 kilometers at this point over the period of a year. I think last week was my 1-year anniversary of owning a Tesla Model 3 all-wheel drive. And I drove in some pretty cold temperatures. I live in northern British Columbia, and I've driven this past couple winters now anywhere from 0 degrees Celsius to minus 27. I actually drove colder, but I've captured on video and pictures up to minus 27. I've actually been in minus 36. But anyway, that would be in, for you Americans, 32 Fahrenheit, which is freezing, down to minus 17 Fahrenheit. So pretty cold. So let's just take a look here at my desktop. I use an application called Teslafy to capture all my statistics automatically. And just recently on February 5th and 6th, I put on 1,200 kilometers, and it ranged from 0 degrees all the way down to minus 17. And then shortly after that, we got a very cold snap where in the city I live in, it dropped down to like minus 37. And so the charging station was at a lower spot in town, so I was only able to get down to minus 27 Celsius, but we'll look at all the stats. So put together this spreadsheet, which does an interesting job kind of showing driving around northern BC, but this is all about temperatures and different things you can expect in cold temperatures. So I drove over 2 days. On a Friday, I drove down to Kamloops from Prince George, and that's about 600 to 700 kilometers, and then return was about the same. And so driving from home to McBride took about 2.5 hours to drive 222 kilometers. So if we take a look at things here, I've got all these stats, and I'll link this spreadsheet in the description of the video so you can review this. But what's interesting here is these colored columns. And what I want to point out is driving the percent efficiency. And there's a whole range here. And what's very interesting about this drive that may help you understand what it's like to drive in cold temperatures is that I started off at minus 3 Celsius. And by the end of the day on Friday, I got to Kamloops, and it was super early in the morning, like 2:39 in the morning. It was basically right around 0 degrees. And then a cold snap was starting to move in. So I left Kamloops the next day at around 0 degrees, which is right at the freezing level. And within that, 6-7 hours driving home, the temperature dropped from 0 degrees as I drove north all the way down to, well, actually when I got home, I'll show a picture, minus 17 degrees Celsius. The Tesla measured it through Teslafy down to about minus 14. But it's interesting. So let's take a look here. As you can see here, these first couple drives, it was about minus 3 to minus 4, and I was getting about 63 to 65% efficiency. I was driving around the speed limit on average, above and below. And so, you can see my watt hours per kilometer usage over here. Nothing too interesting there, but 35 plus percent energy loss at these temperatures. And what's really interesting is this drive here, driving just about 100 kilometers, about an hour drive from Valemot to Blue River. I got a lot better driving efficiency. You can see here, about 5% better, and yet it was colder. How is that possible? Well, in my opinion, in this example, I did this thing in green. I had to drive a lot slower on this section because I believe it maybe was warmer earlier in the day, and the highway was very icy and slippery, so I cut my speed. And you can see when you do that, even if it's colder, you get better efficiency. So, and I used less watt hours per kilometer, which is very interesting. So there's the proof in the pudding right there as one example. So if you find yourself in a tight situation, definitely dropping your speed is going to help sometimes. We're going to talk about that later because I had some interesting things happen later on. Okay, and so then from Blue River to, you can see the temperature here is getting warmer. So I have this column here called temperature drop. Well, we gained 2.5 degrees. And my efficiency was much better, even though I was driving 100 kilometers an hour, which was around the speed limit. So I was getting, 70% efficiency. Temperature is getting warmer, as I keep driving, better efficiency. And then down here, this is the last leg of the drive. Not entirely sure. This is probably just related to the terrain. Driving from Little Fort to Kamloops, I think I had to drive, up and down and weavy and windy and all that kind of stuff. So a little bit less efficiency, but anyways, you can ignore all this stuff in gray. This is just driving around town, very short distances. I was testing Electrify Canada chargers at the Canadian Tire lot. I was testing Petro Canada the next day, charger there, and superchargers. So we're going to see all three of those at around 0 degrees and what I was getting at various states of charge. And then the next day, leaving the supercharger, driving up to Little Fort, again, not driving very fast, is really hilly, didn't get very great efficiency, but that's the same, almost the same as when I came down. So that section is just a tough section to drive, and I wasn't going very fast, but it's, again, weavy and windy, up and down mountain passes. You have to pass semi-trucks, and it's a lot more busy there. And then after that, it gets very interesting here because, I left Kamloops and is right around 0 degrees Celsius, which is freezing, like exactly freezing. It got a little bit warmer here, and then the temperature started to drop drastically. So you can see here, from Little Fort to Blue River, it dropped 1.4 degrees. I was also driving a little bit faster here, but my efficiency percent was just terrible. And then driving from Blue River to Valemot, you'll see in the videos, I'm going to show a lot of video clips showing some of these sections, but here, just terrible efficiencies. It dropped 5 degrees in the period of a 1 hour drive. And I was driving pretty slow. It was really windy. It's getting cold. The road was getting really icy because you could see before I was right around freezing, but now it's getting colder. And then driving from Valemot, once I got to Valemot, it's interesting. You're going to see the picture. I arrived there and I saw another car, a Chevy Bolt, I believe, plugged into the charger, and there's only one plug. So I'm like, uh-oh. I was at a low state of charge. I needed that charge, or I was going to be stuck there. I'm like, how long do I have to wait? And interestingly enough, the charger was finished. So it wasn't charging, but it was just plugged in and, whatever. So, at that point, I just unplugged it, plugged into mine, charged up. And I'll be honest, I thought, well, I also need to, I don't want this guy getting to the next charger and then I have to wait for him. So I charged the minimum amount I could and then drove towards McBride. And that was a problem. That was a big problem. You'll see some pictures and video clips because from Valemot to McBride, the temperature dropped 5 more degrees. So guys, it dropped like 10 degrees in the period of a couple hours, and that was significant. You can see here I have this in purple, and that's because even though I was a higher efficiency rate compared to the last 2 legs, I really had to drop my speed. And it was extremely windy on top of it, and I barely arrived with 4% charge. I should have arrived with 10 or 15, but it got really cold, really windy. The wind was blowing against me, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And I slowed down, and I did, squeak out that drive, and I made it to McBride. So that was interesting. Always give yourself 20 to 25% buffer minimum in cold weather. That's my suggestion. I only gave myself like about 10 to 15, maybe it was like 10, and that was just cutting it too short. And then my drive home, it dropped again another 4 degrees. So, I went from 0 degrees Celsius to minus 17 in one day, and it really did impact my efficiency. And, one of the ways to combat that is when you're charging, you can turn off your cabin heat, you can turn off your seat heat, turn off Sentry mode. I talk about that in some of the video clips. That'll help you get a bit more percentage when you're charging, and then turn them back on once you start driving, if possible. When it's cold, sometimes you can't do that. But you'll see overall, for this 1,200 kilometer drive, 61% efficiency. So, losing about 40% on average in cold weather. So you got to plan for that. And I had all kinds of temperature drops here. So if the weather was if it was consistently minus 15 to say minus 30, you're going to lose half at least. You're going to lose half of your range, and you got to plan for that. And one way, if you're in a pinch, drive slow, turn off your cabin heat or turn it down, turn off Sentry mode maybe, those kinds of things. Maybe your seat heater's the only thing that's going to get you through, but those are a few tips. Anyways, we're going to cut to some video clips, and a couple things I want to point out in these video clips, because you may not have the context, is I do have a few miscellaneous charges, and I'm just trying to get to that so I can speak to it, give you guys the context. So one of them, had a guy driving in front of me, and he threw a cigarette out onto the highway. I really hate it when people do that. I don't know about you guys. Leave comments below. What do you guys think about people who throw cigarette butts out the window? That really bothers me, especially where I live. Okay, it's wintertime. It's not going to start a forest fire now, but those same people are doing it in the summer. So it really, really ticks me off. Not good etiquette at all. Another thing is charging cables. Guys, when you're finished charging, especially in the wintertime, please make sure to hang up those charging cables on the little hangers they have on the charger. I have a little video clip about it. If you don't, and they just flop on the ground, they get covered in snow, and you just make it really difficult for other people. So some more cold weather charging etiquette. I got a little bonus clip in this video. You're going to see someone who I met, not on this drive, but a couple days later when the temperature got really cold, he pulled up to a charger in town, pulling a gold mine machine with his Model 3. Yeah. And by the way, when he first plugged in, he was only getting 2 to 3 kilowatts on his warm battery. He had been driving for quite a while, but I don't know why, but it was very cold, like minus 20, minus 23 Celsius. So we have that clip, and we're going to talk about tire pressure. Very important to make sure your tires are at the right pressure in cold weather, because what happens is in cold weather, everything tends to shrink. I mean, water expands, but like rubber and metal and everything shrinks. And when that happens with your tires, you lose air. That's a common problem with any vehicle. So make sure that you check your PSI on your tires. I have a little video with a cool air compressor you can get from Costco, which set it, push a button, and it just charges right up to the PSI you tell it to, and it stops when it's done. It's really great. It's called the AirHawk. But just an important reminder there that helps with your range to have proper PSI in your charging. If you're low, you're going to get worse range. That's a very important one. And then another bonus clip I'm going to show. I bought those shocks that you can get, or I guess struts, on eBay, or not eBay, on Amazon, on the frunk and the trunk. And you know how when you push the button to open them, they automatically open up. It's not electric, but it's just they're $20 for the front, $20 for the back. They're just high strength, so when you open it, it kind of forces the frunk and the trunk open. Those do not work very well in cold weather, and I'll show you that. Anyways, we're going to cut to all those clips now. You're going to see me charging at various BC Hydro chargers, and you're going to see the temperatures and the charge rates. You're going to see Electrify Canada. You're going to see Petro Canada. You're going to see supercharging in Kamloops. And I mentioned in the video clip I thought it was a V3, but it's actually a V2, which means it's only 125 kilowatt max. And I was getting 80 something. I mean, the highest I got was 105. You don't see that in the video clip, but I was getting 80 afterwards. So anyways, hope Hope this data helps you guys out. I'll put a link in the video description, and I hope these video clips help you out and drive safe. Hey guys, back here again, BC Hydro Charger. This time, there's a lot of snow here. This is Blue River. Roll up the carpets, folks. It's 9:30 at night-ish, 9 or 10, whatever. And there's like over there, 1,001 pickup trucks with snowmobiles. Like, we're talking the whole place is loaded. Anyway, let's see what kind of kilowatts we're getting here. 32. Let's see if this ramps up. A bit colder here. .45 kilowatts over there. And let's check inside. Again, using the CCS adapter from C-Tech. Very consistent charging on these BC Hydro chargers. And we are getting 37/38 kilowatts. This C-Tech charger does a really good job. It gets better charging rates than the Tesla CHAdeMO so far. Alright guys, we're here at the Electrify Canada, charging with the C-Tech CCS charger, and it looks like it's charging. Canadian Tire, Kamloops. All right, first time trying this one, and let's see, is this giving us any stats about charge rate? Just says charging. Come on, show me something useful here. I'll check in the car in just a second, but asking about a receipt. All right, anyway, let's look in here. It should be going up to 350 kilowatts on that machine, but I know it's not going to be that in the car. But just curious with this adapter, what the deal is. Huh. So we're only getting 35 kilowatts. Interesting. That's not very much. Let's turn off our heating and go back. Our state of charge is 21%. The temperature outside, 0 degrees. I know it's really hard to see, but 0. And not going very fast. Here, Petro Canada, 350 kilowatt, CHAdeMO was 100, DC fast charger in Kamloops, and pretty big station here. Highway 1 is right here. We're right near the Costco, and I have no idea if this is gonna, what? It's flashing green. Okay, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Got this debug log session going here, and 42 kilowatts active power. So I'm gonna have to work with C-Tech. I think what's happening is, I think the Tesla thinks this is a CHAdeMO adapter, and the Tesla apparently is capping out, it's asking for 50 kilowatts, something like that. So C-Tech's aware. I'm gonna work with techs there, and they're gonna
see if they can get a firmware upgrade to get this going faster. But anyway, let's see what we have inside the car. So far we've had pretty good success with this adapter. The only charging station now that I've tested that doesn't work is the Delta Ministry of Transportation chargers. And if I turn off heating and seat warmer, let's see what kind of charge rate we're going to get. Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to the Electrify Canada and BC Hydro. Eventually I'm sure it'll peak up into the 40s. So there you have it, people. Currently you're not going to get better than CHAdeMO speeds with this adapter until a firmware update. Alright guys, so just as a bonus clip, I noticed the CHAdeMO here is 100 kilowatt. Now, pretty sure the Tesla adapter is only rated to 50, so we are going to see what kind of rate we get real quick here, just because I'm really curious if the car will request more. 42, yeah, see, I don't think it's going to ask for more than 50, even though if your car requested it, it would go up to 100, so c'est la vie. Oh Canada. Petro Canada. Hey everybody, so we are here at the Kamloops Supercharger site. Pretty snowy day out, so not too much scenery, but these are, I believe, V3 superchargers, I believe. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Let's see what kind of speed we're getting. It was at 1 something, but it slowed down, but anyway. That's what it is, 84. Hey everybody, quick comment here. We are in Blue River at the BC Hydro 50 kilowatt charger. Tons of snow here. I mean, we're talking piles that are about 10 feet tall of snow. Snowmobile country. And that's the hotel that I showed, about 30 pickup trucks, all with snowmobiles. I have some video clips where I came back today and they're all out in the mountains. Anyway, redneck country here. So one cool thing about whoever set this up, they have these, the cables are on this like metal thing, like you see at some gas stations. And why that's really cool is it keeps the cables all nice and neat. They don't just flop down. So they're held up here, both sides. Whoever did this setup, great job. I think that should become the standard for everywhere. We're here in McBride, just got here from Valemot, and you can see we're in low battery. It is, I was minus 11 on the highway, 5% left. Sentry mode's off, everything's off. It's super windy, super cold. Had to slow down to 90 kilometers an hour on a 100 kilometer an hour highway just to keep my buffer going here. But we're going to charge now. All right, guys, so we've arrived home with 10%. Is that going to focus in on that? Yeah, 10% battery. It is minus 17 degrees Celsius here. Look at that. Why are my wheels making that noise? I'm parked in the garage. That's pretty weird. Anyway, battery is low. We have 10% charge left. It was really cold driving home. You do lose that range, so always good to have a good buffer when you plan your long distance trips, and have a great night. Alright, everybody, just to show you how cold it is, before I do my charge test, we're going to get some water here, pour it on the hood, and you're going to see how quickly it freezes. So see if we can get that cross section. It's already starting to freeze up. See if I can touch that. Yeah, that's frozen. Completely and utterly frozen in like a few seconds. So kind of goes to show you just how cold it is. Now let's see how this charges. All right, it is cold out there. Gotta have gloves. My hands are half frostbitten. Minus 20, supposed to get to minus 30. Feels a lot colder. I am getting 15 kilowatt, not too much difference, but I have noticed consistently, you know, anywhere between 3 to 5 kilowatts better with the C-Tech adapter. I don't know what's going on, but doesn't matter which order I've done it in. Seems to, I don't know, do a pretty good job. So that's with the CCS adapter in, minus 20. We're even at 80% state of charge, and it's holding its own. You know, usually it's like slowing down quite a bit here. This is a 50 kilowatt BC Hydro charger. Hey guys, we're at the BC Hydro charger, just authenticated. Trying out the Valemot adapter on this 50 kilowatt charger in minus 20 degrees Celsius. Let's check it out, see what we get. It is freezing cold. It's supposed to get down to minus 30 degrees Celsius tonight. That's like, I don't know, minus 25, minus 26 Fahrenheit, something like that. Come on, Valemot, get going. All right. 16, come on. Jack that up, jack it up. Come on, give me 39.40. Come on, jack it up. I guess it's too cold even for the charger to handle, or maybe my state of charge isn't the greatest. Vehicle request. Ha, it's like it's answering me. The vehicle doesn't want more than 20 kilowatts because it's so freezing out here. I have been driving around for a bit to try to warm up that battery. So it is freezing. I have driven around for about 15 minutes. I had my these two things on full. This is what I did. I'll show you in case anybody asks. I had it cranked like that for about 15 minutes. Drove around, maybe even 20, and it is freezing cold out. Turn these off. Still only getting 14 kilowatts, 13. We will wait till this gets up to about 79, 80, and then we'll do the same exercise with the CCS adapter. All right, everybody, it is like minus 27 here. Back at the charger. We're gonna see what kind of charge rate we get this time. It is freezing cold here. I'm going to assume it's going to request something like 20 kilowatts or 24 kilowatts like last time. It looks like that's pretty standard from these machines when it's this cold out. Let's take a look. 21 kilowatts. So let's go take a look inside. This is the Valemot adapter. And as you can see, it's minus 27 Celsius. We're at 84% state of charge and 18 kilowatts. And as I mentioned before, you want to always check your tire pressures to make sure, because in cold weather you lose air. So it looks like you're going to get, this is a 50 kilowatt charger, so not even half of the speed when it's this cold out. Also, one other thing, when it's this cold out, these cables, they're not flexible at all. So I would ask, please make sure that you hang them up properly, because it makes it very difficult otherwise for people to, if they freeze in a certain shape, very difficult to drag it over to plug into your car. So please use proper etiquette when it's very cold out especially, but just a good practice to do in general. Yeah, one other thing just to mention, in this cold weather, you know, you swipe sideways here, you see your different stats. Well, looking at the tires, you always lose a lot of PSI when it's minus 20 out. So make sure you put more air into your tires in this cold weather, because that's definitely one thing that's going to wear out your tires a lot faster. So just a note. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are doing a cold temperature video tonight. So I'm in the garage, it's -6, but outside it's like -30. So one thing I wanted to point out is, in these cold temperatures, I mentioned this in some other videos, I don't know if it's going to show when I'm parked here. You know how you get to the screen where it shows your tire PSI, normally this screen. I've got tires that are like quite low, maybe 5 or 6 PSI lower than it should be. And you look at the tire itself and it will tell you what the max PSI should be. And in this case, you'll just have to take my word for it. These are the stock Soto Zero tires that came with the car, and they're a max 45 PSI, and right now it's like 36. So that's quite low. Anyway, why I'm making this video is just to point out, you know, make sure you put air in your tire, especially when it gets cold out like this -30 degree. But I got this really cool air pump. It's called the AirHawk Max from Costco. The reason I love this thing, it's better than any of the others that I bought. I'll just like pull the trigger here. I think it'll show me, or maybe I'll just push the on button here. But it's got this LED display, and you set, you know, the PSI you want it, your target PSI. I'm not sure if I'm getting that on the phone here. But it's I have it set to 45 PSI. Do that again. Yeah, so I have it set to 45 PSI. And what you do is you set that number and you just plug in into your valve, and you just push the start button, and it's going to show you what the PSI is, and it'll stop when it hits the target. And it just counts up to 45, and when it's done, it shuts off, and you just move to the next tire. So really good. Battery powered, has another battery that hooks into your lighter plug, so perfect. You can throw it in your trunk, and it's just a really great little unit. Just another cold weather quickie here. I installed the
I can't remember what you call them, not gaskets, but whatever, those automatic lifts for the frunk and the trunk. And it's minus 23, minus 24 here. Let's see how they perform. They're brand new. I just installed them.
Destination is on the right.
So it's minus 23. I just installed. So there's the front. Does it look like it's opening to you? And there's the trunk. Okay, so the graphics show one thing, but guys, in minus 23, doesn't really want to lift. Come on. Come on. Come on. You can do it. You see what I'm saying? So that's something to consider. In cold climate, these automatic shocks, I guess that's what they're called. I don't know why my Zoom keeps doing that, but anyway. So, not so great. Let's go look at the trunk. It's the same deal, by the way. It kind of partially opened, but not really, because, you know, what am I supposed to do to get in here? I gotta lift this thing up. So just know, if you live in cold climates, those automatic shocks, these are the top selling ones on Amazon, both the front and back. I think they're like 20 bucks each. In cold, minus 20, minus 23, may not work so great.